Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the OA machine. I'm Dave, K7CY. Western Washington Amateur Television Society. It's a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. NTSC format. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7ATS repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5 for this net. Also, getting back to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, Googling WW7ATS takes you to our homepage. There you'll find the exact frequencies we transmit on and receive, a little background on the club, and also you'll find a link that'll take you to YouTube. There we stream our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Hearing none, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. So far checked in by video link is Ron, KD7QKU, Richard, K7ITX, James, WW7N, and myself, Dave, KD7CYM. Well, let's go up to Ron in Tacoma Land, KD7QKU.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. This is Ron, KD7QKU. Well, I guess it was probably Thursday that Debbie, Richard's wife, sent us a nice update, sent Joanne. She apparently didn't have my phone number, so she sent a text to Joanne telling us that they had taken all the tubes out of Richard. He'd passed the swallow test, and he could have food and a whole bunch of stuff, so we were glad to get that report. And then this morning, Richard sent me a text early, it was a little bit after 7, and was telling me that he was having a urinary problem, and that he was in a little bit of discomfort, it sounded like. So, Wade, so today was field day. I was going to go out on Friday, everybody went out on Friday and set up, but it was 83 degrees over here on Friday. It was just too warm to go out there, I thought, for me. So I begged off and I stayed home. But I went out today. I got out there and they have a nice setup. They have some nice big white tents and generators. They have these military towers, I guess. Oh, you'd almost call them. They're pipes, really. And I don't know exactly how they put them together. It was explained to me once. I think they put a section and then somehow they raise it up and put in a section and raise it up and put in a section. And they're up about 40 feet high. They had nice antennas on them, beams and whatnot. And they had I don't know, half a dozen radio stations set up in this one tent. And I got there just at mealtime. I got there I left here about 11. It takes a while to get out there. Traffic is really heavy. I had to go to Lakewood. They're set up by Northwest Hospital in Lakewood there. And they're on, well, I don't know if they're on, it looked to me like they were on hospital property, but I think they said they weren't, but I don't know. So anyway, I got there, and just as I walked up, the cook was cooking, and he hands me a plate that had a grilled cheese sandwich on it, and then they had tomato soup. And so I'd taken the grilled cheese sandwich and bowl of tomato soup and sat down, and then lo and behold, his second Wade showed up. He had stayed out there last night. He put his tent up. There was at least 2 pickups there with campers on them. people had stayed all night, and Wade, I guess, stayed all night last night to kind of hold it, watch the equipment so somebody didn't run off with it. So he had put up a tent. So Wade had been operating 10 meters, but they had been operating digitally. He was on 10 meters. I'm not familiar with that, so I couldn't participate. But I did sit down there in the chair for a while and talk to people. So I stayed for a while, and then I decided that it was return home. So I headed back home. So that's enough for now, and I'll turn it back to Net KD7QKU.
QKU, thanks for that update on field day in your locality. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX in Phoenix.
7N disconnected.
Thank you. We can hear you on that building at this point. Okay. All right, you're good. Anyway, yeah, thanks, James, for setting me up. That's always good. Of course, everything was working perfectly maybe an hour or two ago. But now, I think my internet connection itself at the hospital is in and out, so to speak. And Echolink doesn't, at least on my phone, works fine if if it's connected to my phone. I haven't did it on my computer in quite some time, plus I think I might have lost some of the setup. So anyway, it's great to be on the air. I feel real good right now. I might get interrupted later on for who knows what. That's how they do things here. Lots of times they're on their way. 2 hours, 2.5 hours later, we check in. Are you really going to do this? Yes, we're on our way. So that wasn't very fun. I was for an ultrasound, and so I couldn't be sitting like I am now. I have to be in the bed behind me flat and lay flat the whole day in time. Well, I didn't have to, but just being in the bed is kind of tiring. But other than that, I haven't had to experience the 116 or 118 in the high yesterday. And I guess it was Debbie described it to me as like standing in front of your oven door, and it's 500 degrees, and you're right where the crack of the door is open. And that doesn't sound very appealing. I've missed all of it here. Anyway, hi Jessica, good to see you. Anyway, I'll think of something out. Maybe I'll get Echolink going too in the meantime. Thanks a lot. This is K7ITS.
WW7 third party.
ITX, I see Jessica has joined us. KF7UHK. What say you, Jessica?
KF7UHK up in Everest. I just finally got this computer to accept this Zoom meeting. It started off by saying I was in S mode, which meant I can only use Microsoft products because this is a brand new computer. It's a little HP that I got from Fred Meyers for $271 before tax, which is about $295 with tax. It's like you can't beat that for a little computer, a little laptop, and it's really lightweight, and it'd be good for traveling. But I had to somehow switch it out of S mode so I could put Zoom on there. Now I can put all my other things like FL Digi and things like that, which I want to do. Good to see you, Richard, over there. You're looking great. And if you can stay inside where it's nice and air conditioning, I think I would do that myself. I just the other day, there's a little electronics store up in Mount Vernon that has Radio Shack type things, plus a lot of old stuff. Well, someone had brought in some stuff from an estate sale, radio equipment, and I bought myself a Cushcraft R7. And this thing is about 8 feet tall with a whole bunch of little traps on the side that you can pick up on the HF radio as opposed to the VHF UHF. So this is like my first real HF antenna I've ever bought. Everything's always just been UHF, VHF, and I have an 897, a Yaesu 897 that I'm going to plug this thing into, mostly for listening. So I can't wait to put it up. We are working on holes in the ground with cement and pipes to hoist our masts up on. So we're really excited about that as we're coming on real well. So that's it for now. This is Jessica, KS7, UHK.
K7ITX connected. K7ITX connected. K7ITX connected. K7ITX connected. K7ITX connected. K7ITX. K7ITX timeout.
Welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. And let's go to James, WU7N.
That was entertaining. Thank you, Richard. I kept repeating, I don't know if you heard it, I kept repeating over and over again, K7ITX. Yeah. No, don't worry about it. It was funny. Don't stress. Well, gosh, I am glad, Richard, you were in my life because, it just puts my problems in such perspective. I have first world problems. I was accused of a major crime against humanity. I probably will be, there will be a warrant issued on me from The Hague in Europe. Interpol is probably going to be looking for me soon, and that's because my recycle bin, I had taken it out recently on my street, and I had hid it in some bushes right outside my garage. Now, there's several people on my street that have not been tracked down by Interpol yet that also are hiding their trash can in the bushes. But apparently, according to our covenants, we're supposed to have our trash cans in the garage. And so today, I did put my blue recycled can back in the garage, but there's this evil part of me that does want to put it right in the center of the private road on trash day, just to see how both the trash company and everyone else will deal with that. And then make sure, as soon as he comes and picks it up, it disappears, and that way they wouldn't know which home actually owned that trash can that was in the center of the road. And my evil genius, no doubt, will come up with many other ways to deal with this major problem. But that's the kind of problems I have in my life. Richard, thank you for joining the net tonight. I'm also trying to get a deck fixed and trying to find a contractor that will actually do the work. There's a big scary beam about 14 feet up in the air, and I am so frustrated I actually hired a building inspector to come out and just do an evaluation of what needs to be done, how much it should cost, actually pay him for that. And so anyway, I got him out here, and he looked at it and everything, and that was well worth it. But great guy, trying to encourage him to get his ham radio license. Maybe we'll see him on the net in the next couple of months, because he was, one thing I said, I was thinking of doing this myself, and he just looked at me and said, don't do it yourself, you could hurt yourself. Me so much, but I think he's absolutely right, that's why it hurt so much. But that hurt less, and taking that advice will hurt less than actually trying to get a million-pound beam 16 feet up in the air on the edge of a 45-degree angle slant. I thought I should just invite all you guys over, and we could all do it together, and maybe, you could have Sylvia do the YouTube video, and I think by the end of it we could have a million-hit YouTube video, especially the part where we all flee in terror as the beam comes crashing down. So anyway, that's the excitement of my life. I also was trying to figure out
how to get the slime off my car, and then I did get the slime off my car, but then I found it has like little itty-bitty roots that grew onto the paint, and so tonight, though, I figured out soft scrub could take that off without destroying the paint. At least I think so. Now, tomorrow morning, I might go out there and see every place I gently soft scrubbed. The paint's missing. There's nothing left but metal. We'll have to see. So this is the exciting world of James, WW7N. I don't know if any of you guys have done anything with Field Day this weekend. I did not. I've got two. This is a rare weekend. We got 3 things happening in less than 2.5 weeks. So I decided to go for the other 2 and sit Field Day out this year. So if you guys are doing anything, tell me about it. WU7N in Northeast Bellevue. Let me turn it back to Dave, our net control.
WW7N, thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Oh, it's been a very active day today. Washed my car. And oh my gosh, all of that pollen from the trees, the little tiny specks, it's like glue on the cars. And so I tried Simple Green as a washing base and scrubbed it, and it pretty well dissolved the junk on the car. But then I rinsed it all off, and I noticed, oops, it's still there. So again, with a Simple Green, scrubbed it down one more time. This time it did get rid of it, so it took 2 scrubbings to get rid of that. Oh, and that's now done. Then I cleaned up my driveway after that. But I think I told you I got a COVID shot last Wednesday, and oh my gosh, come Wednesday night, my arm was pretty sore. And Thursday, my arm didn't want to move. It was so sore. But by Friday, it was okay, and today it's fine. But boy, I don't know what was in the COVID shot, but it certainly said hello to my body or my arm. But that's out of the way now, so I just have to wait, I guess, about a week and a half, and then I'll have immunity again. So anyway, it had been 6 months since I had my last shot. So I got that out of the way. And this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. I've got 70 degrees and it's overcast outside, but the sun is shining through the clouds. Well, let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
This is Ron again, KD7QKU. So I guess I'll pick up my story while I left off. I came back down on, oh shoot, I can't think of the name of the road now, but then I got back to Bridgeport, and there's a Walmart there. So I decided I would go into the Walmart. I went shopping at the Walmart the other day, and I bought a pair of shoes. I wanted white, but they only had narrow. And narrow, I can wear them, but white are much more comfortable. So I stopped there, and I was looking for a pair of sandals that they supposedly had, and they didn't have them in the Walmart down here in Tacoma. So anyway, they had the sandal shoes that I wanted, and so I got those, and then I walked around the other shoes, and lo and behold, they had white, so I got a pair of those. I was looking for pants too, but they didn't have what I wanted. And jeans. I guess I'm a popular size, and I never can find my jeans because they're always out of them. So anyway, it was very, very busy, needless to say. So I finally got through the check stand and came home. I told Armando I've been having sprinkler trouble with the sprinkler system. I tried to turn it on the other day, and when I got up, the sprinkler system was still running. I had it come on at 4 o'clock, and the street was all wet, and it had soaked the lawn and run across the sidewalk and out into the street. So that wasn't good. So I told Armando that the control box wasn't working right. So, and I had a couple of sprinklers that I needed him to work on. So there was a pipe broken in one of the sprinklers, and he fixed that, and then he fixed the other sprinklers. And they were plugged up, I guess. He taken them apart and got them going. So that was all fine. So then he was using the control box. He said, "Oh, it works. It's fine." No, I said, "It doesn't. It won't shut off." And he said, "Well, it's been shutting off." He'd been running it for 2 minutes. Well, yeah, I said, "Well, if you put it in that where you test all the sprinklers for 2 minutes, it'll shut off. But if you put it in the automatic mode, it won't. So I said, before you leave, wait a minute now. So I changed the start time to about 5 minutes after what the time was, and then I set all the sprinklers to come on for 2 minutes. And so I said, so it'll take 8 minutes, so you're going to have to bear with me for 8 minutes. So in a minute it started going and went through all the cycle, and he said, is this going fine? It just shut off one. Yeah, no, I said it hasn't gone all the way through yet. Hang on. So then it went all the way through, and then it started over again. It didn't quit. And I said, I think that's what it was doing at night. And it just kept going and going and going through all the cycles. So he messed with it, and he said, I think your box is no good. So he's going to come back on Monday and bring another box and put it in. So it's just money, money, money. That's all it is. Money seems to fix everything. But the box for the sprinkler system is a Rainbird, but it's probably been here since the home was first built or something. So it's old. I'm sure it's in the garage, so it looks nice, but it's just a contact or something wore out in it. So that's basically what I did. Like I said, Jessica missed out on it. So the Tacoma Radio Club has field day, and they go out by Northwest Hospital and sit up out there. They have 2 or 3 big tents and generators, and they have these military towers. They're tubes, and I didn't look at them close, but I was told by someone that they raise the tube up, and then they put another one in the bottom and secure it, and they raise it up, put one in the bottom, and they go up about 40 feet. They got 2 or 3 of those that are really nice. It looked like they were about 3 inches in diameter. Sturdy. They have them guyed out, but really nice. So it looks like Richard's getting a visit from the nurse. So we're gonna get a. Oh, she's putting oxygen on him. Okay, that was so much for him talking. All right. So anyway, my sprinkler system is will be fixed, I guess, Monday night. So it can work again. I don't exactly need it right now, but I'm going to need it, before long. It was 83 here yesterday. They mow my lawn a little bit shorter than I like, and when it's hot like that, it starts to turn brown in spots. And I wasn't here when the guy came and mowed it. The guys, it's a couple of kids. And so I wasn't here to tell them to cut it longer. And I missed them last time, so I would appreciate it if they'd leave it just a little bit longer. They just cut it a little bit too short. All right, back to that KD7QKU.
WU7N disconnected. WU7N disconnected.
And again, for an ID, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Net on the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Well, let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
Obviously, it's a very modern hospital that Richard's in, because they're letting them vape right there in the recovery room. So right on. Right on, Richard. Richard, that's what it looks like from here. It looks like you're getting some vaping going. So it looks like it's probably. I bet it feels good though. So no, maybe not. Yeah. Well, you should just when that nurse came in, you should say you should get on the net with us and introduce yourself and tell what's going on. Just to give us a rundown. So there you go. So we have this big sign that we knocked down in one of the windstorms a couple years ago, and we made these new plastics for the front of it, which are really beautiful. They have some pictures of Sylvia took with her camera, which is one is tulips, and it's got Sylvia's photography / telephone numbers and stuff. And then the very top panel has one of the clips from 2017 with more things about photography. You can stop by our place. So we haven't quite got these. We haven't installed them yet because the the logs that are going to go in the ground are 6 by 6 by, I think they're 12 footers that we bought. I think we're going to chop them down, and they're very, very heavy. So we're going to, first of all, get one in the ground. I think we're going to chop them down to 10 feet. And so we'll get the first one in level, and then we'll figure out where the second one goes and how to make it all true and square and everything like that. So it should be, but we're not going to get that done tomorrow. It's going to be little bits at a time to make this thing happen, because it's just so huge. So that's what we're looking forward to. Anything good in our life otherwise? Oh, we went to, I think it's called Sean O'Shaughnessy's? No, Donald O'Shaughnessy's. It's like this Irish chain restaurant, and we have one up here in Skagit Valley, and we had fish and chips, clam chowder, and some drinks, and French fries, and I guess that's part of the chips. And it was actually really, really pretty darn good. I was a little skeptical, because chain restaurants can be skeptical, but it was actually very, really tasty, and we got everything from the happy hour menus. It was like 3 to 6 p.m. and so we got a good deal on everything. So that was kind of fun. So that's my recommendation, Sean O'Shaughnessy's. You can look it up. Just look for Irish chain restaurants in Washington. You'll find it. There's several around here. All right, that's back to you guys. This is KF7. Just kidding.
UHK. Well, normally we'd go to Richard, K7ITX, but he looks like he's sort of compromised at this point, so we can come back to you. You want to try? Treatment will pass on you this go round. I think the doctor and science wins out over this round, so no problem there. Well, let's move on down to James, WW7N.
Well, I agree. I think hospital vaping wins out over net talking any day. Oh wait, is he done vaping? Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm going to assume Richard can hear us, because oh, you cannot hear me? Cannot hear. Okay. So when I unmute my microphone, Richard should be able to hear me now, certainly. But I can't, of course, hear Richard. But the only way this works is there can only be one active mic at a time. So before, when Ron was talking, when I would turn my microphone on for everyone to hear, there was echo coming through. So that caused a problem. So if there's two mics in one room, you'll get echo. I don't know. Oh, you're waving the phone. Okay, this is a game of charades, sounds like. I'm not sure. Go ahead, Richard. Unmute your mic and tell us what's going on. I want to get this over with, skip me for a couple rounds, so that's good. Well, let's see, I told you all the hot news in my life. It's exciting things like trying to get the house repaired and trying to get the trash can, out from hiding behind the bush before it causes an international incident. I don't know if the trash can hiding in the bushes directly had to do with the increasing tensions on the northern border of Israel or not, but I suspect it was a major contributor, so I'm glad I got it in the garage in time tonight. Oh, wait. It's a Syrian ambassador. I never answer his calls right away. Let him sweat. Okay, so anyway, let's see. It's 30 minutes after the hour. I'll go as long as you guys want to go. I'm having a good time. Beautiful weather. I'm taking advantage of that tomorrow. Probably going to do something else useful. But that's my life here. So let me turn it back to Dave, KD7ZYM, as our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Take it away, Dave.
Thanks for that. And I gotta say, we owe Ron gratitude for field day, scoring 200 points for finding the chuck wagon at the remote site for field day. So anyway, his effort was well received, I'm sure, and they're 200 points ahead for an active chuck wagon. And this is Dave, KD7ZYM. And we hope Richard's doing okay with all of this treatment that he's getting at this point. Get his lungs all lubricated up. And boy, oh boy, I'm sure he's just having a grand time. But look at it on the plus side. Got air conditioning there, so that's that's okay. Or is that just steam coming out of the aspirator because of the heat? Anyway, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. And there's a little bit of sunshine coming in through the window now, so I guess it's going to give a burst of sunshine before it goes dark. And it's now getting dark after 9 o'clock, so very interesting how the time is coming up in the summertime. I can recall 4th of July doesn't get dark till 9:30. You have to sit there and wait for another hour and a half till you can see fireworks. So anyway, that's not too far away. I guess it's about 3 weeks, so stay tuned. Well, let's go back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU again. You guys were talking about the pollen that we've all gotten on our cars, that yellow stuff from the trees. It's a lot like pitch, believe it or not. It's real sticky, and then it gets a little bit of dirt on it and everything. So we used to have some stuff in the body shop that we'd wipe a car down with before we start painting it, and with Clean Easy or something. But enamel. The enamel thinner that we use would wipe that stuff off too, but so you'd have to be careful if you use a compound. I was just trying to think. Shoot, I can't think anymore. Turpentine or something would probably take it off. Yeah, really, it's kind of. I think it'd be okay. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look in my cabinet. When I was in Bellevue, I kept all those empty cans because, if I wanted to get some more of it, I'd have the empty cans to look at. But when I moved, I threw all those empty cans and stuff away. So I forget what the stuff is called. But anyway, yeah, I don't think turpentine would. You could try it in a test area, James, someplace where it wouldn't show real bad, like on the trunk or someplace, and see in a little spot if it would take the stuff off, and it wouldn't. It's oily, stuff. It's pretty safe to put on plastic and everything else, I think. So anyway, whatever. But that would be my thought. If you didn't do that, you'd have to use a polish with a cleaner in it and a little elbow grease, and it would probably take those little black spots off, hopefully, without doing much to your finish. Then you'd probably have to put a polish on top of it. I don't know what you have. Some cars, they get they used to call it personalizing. You would buy a car and you could have this clear coat like put on it, and then the cars wouldn't fade, and you really didn't have to. You know, when you go to the car wash, you can have them like wax. You can have a wax stuff put on them at the car wash if you get the expensive wash. It was kind of like that. We bought this Camry and new, and I had it. It taken 2 treatments. Seemed like I had to take it in, and then a month or 2 later I had to take it in again. And it was something I don't know if they sprayed it on or if they rubbed it on in that case. But they used to call it personalizing. But it was just kind of a clear coat. It was really nice stuff because you never had to wax your car for many, many years, and it still had this beautiful shine. So anyway, probably would have been pissed if you had to paint it. If you had to paint the car, you probably would have had fish eyes all over it. So I don't know if you guys remember, but if it's got silicone in it, you get fish eyes, they call it, in your paint. It kind of looks like fish scales, really. It's really hard to kill. They have fish eye killer. You can put it in your paint when you spray it on the car, but oh man, I really hate to mess with that stuff, because once you spray it on the car, I hate to get it in the air in the shop, because then it gets all over everything, and then you have fish eyes on everything. So I don't know. It's like oil on water. So if you've dropped a drop of oil on water, that's kind of how if the paint coat on a car has silicone, somebody put silicone wax or something on it, oh man, it makes it look, when you try to paint it, it comes out like alligator skin or fish scale. It's just terrible. And so then you know, if you discover that, then you have to use that cleaner to try to clean it off. And so we had a little bitty vial of this, it was called fish eye killer, and you'd taken like a little squeezer and an eyedropper, and you put 1 or 2 drops in a pot of paint, and then it would the paint would go on the car. But God help the next guy that painted the car, because it'd be worse than when you tried to paint the car. That silicone stuff, it was. I mean, you know, it was the worst nightmare you could ever get into in a body shop. And so anyway, so enough of that, I guess. So yeah, a little turpentine on a cloth and rub one of those spots, you know, about an inch, and circle or something and see what it does. James, it might just take that stuff right off. So, and it might not hurt. I don't think it would hurt the surface of your car. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU, get a quick ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
That product called ZEP, Z-E-P, but I looked it up and it looks like that's more industrial cleaning for, you know, factory floors and stuff like that. So maybe not on your windshields, because I'd be worried about knocking off something off the windshield that is important, some kind of coating or something that makes it nice and clear. Don't really know. But I'm one of these people that when I get in my car, or I get in the company car, which is when I take over the bus, I go drive a company car down to Skagit Station and leave the keys with the person getting off the bus. And so we kind of trade keys. I trade keys as I get out to the bus, and I always hit the windshield washer because no one else does. And so you'll get in this car and it'll be all dusty and dirty on the window. And I always, even in my truck, I hear when I get out to go, I always hit the squirter just once, let it wipe everything down. And it just, I think, is a little bit safer than not. It's kind of like those trucks that go down the road that have a big sticker on the back that says, "My lights are on for safety." I do the same thing, just because insurance is expensive, and car wrecks are even more expensive. And if you don't make it out of a car wreck, then it's even more expensive, you know, for somebody. So I'm kind of all about too much safety. and that's probably compared to what I probably used to be like, and probably wasn't as safe as much if I look back on my history. Let's see, what else is going on? Not too much. We stayed up at the house on Thursday night because we were trying to get insurance for our house up there. I think it lapsed or something, and it's hard to get insurance for where we have that house because it's on Highway 536, right next to businesses, and it's mixed use. So it's a residential slash business property that we have. So we could make it into a business because it already is zoned that way, even though it's built right now like a residential house, or at least it was modified to look like a residential house when we bought it. And so it's really difficult to buy insurance these days. And I asked the guy, what's the deal with insurance these days? And he said, well, there's some places that make this really hard to get insurance, and it's Florida and California, floods and fires. And insurance companies just don't want to touch them anymore because they're just paying out so much compared to what their premiums are bringing in. So if you have good insurance, keep up your good insurance. That's my tip for the night. This is KF7JSK.
UHK. Well, let's see if Richard, K7ITX, is with us now. Richard, are you with us? This is Dave, KD7ZY. I'm going to mute again.
I can hear you guys just fine on YouTube, but you guys can stay muted. I'm the fool that should have unmuted to begin with just for this round. So anyway, you guys, James, you can mute because I can hear on YouTube, no problem.
K7ITX, thanks for that. And get an ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7Z WW7ATS. Well, let's go to James, WW7N.
Well, Jessica, when you mentioned ZEP, I just had to throw the material safety data sheet up on the in the digital side there. That stuff looks like it'll burn a hole in concrete. I guess that's why they use it for industrial cleanup. I'm not going to put that on my car. Ron, thank you for your suggestion. Mineral spirits and turpentine generally won't mess up clear coat on a car. You are correct. I'm just kidding with you. And certainly if you worked in the body shop, you probably actually know things that probably work a lot better. What I did so far is I just used a very low power pressure washer, and that got most of the yellow stuff off. But I had this blackish green stuff growing on it too, and when I took that off, it left behind a really hard black stuff. And so I found tonight I used a product, a commercial product that's designed to polish. It's like a scratch, so-called scratch remover. I mean, it's probably very mildly abrasive with some kind of wax in it. And so what it's doing is it's just filling in the scratches on the clear coat, I think is probably how that works. Some of it came off with that, but some of it I had to use a product called Soft Scrub, which is a super mild abrasive, but very mild abrasive cleaner, because I guess some of the sinks that are dark colored, if you just, use bartender's friend or whatever that stuff is, it's like sandpaper in a can, it would just rip those sinks to pieces. And so they came up with Soft Scrub. And I don't just go at it like a monkey on crack. I mean, I'm really gentle, and as soon as I can see it's mostly coming off like you can't see from 3 feet away, that's good enough for me. I'm not going to a competitive show here or anything. But the next big project, I do have to replace the whole rack and pinion system on this vehicle. It has no power steering, which means it's really not safe to drive. It's like, I would say it's like driving a truck, but that would be an insult to all trucks. Without its rack and pinion hydraulic steering, it is really difficult to turn the wheel. And someone said it's like driving a military vehicle, and I go, well, you haven't done that in a long time, because the new military vehicles, I mean, you can steer them with one finger, at least until the rocket hits, and then, your finger's gone. But they really do steer nice. The Strikers down at Joint Base Lewis McChord are just amazing. They drive and ride better than most vehicles I've owned in my life, which may not be saying much, but anyway, they really are well designed and really are easy to drive. 47 here, so I'll go as long as you guys want to go, but that's all the excitement I have here, so I'm going to turn it back to our net control, Dave, KD7ZYM. This is Whiskey Uniform 7 November. Take it away, Dave.
7N, thanks with that. Well, I was going to say, I was watching an article on TV, and they were talking about getting road tar off your car, and they were using kerosene. So, possibility the kerosene would dissolve any of the stickiness that's in the pollen and take that off, then wash it down with soap and water. I don't think the kerosene would cause any problems to the paint or cause it to peel or anything like that. So, maybe that's another alternative that you could use. Oh boy, talk about driving a car with a finger. A number of years ago, I was covering war games training down at the Yakima firing range. And the guy says, oh, come on up on the tank, and we went for a ride. It's amazing on those tanks. We were going along at about 35 miles an hour, up and down hills, down in little gullies, and the tank just kept going straight. I mean, you didn't even bounce. You were just steady as could be. But I guess when you spend a lot of money for that type of suspension, you hope that it does work that way. But it was pretty amazing to see that. But war games are always kind of interesting to cover from a media standpoint. And you get around some of the weapon firings, and boy, I think I went deaf for 2 weeks on a howitzer. They refer to it as an ace nickel, the 155 millimeter howitzer. Man, that is loud when it goes off. And my ears, I think, rang for about 2 days after that. I didn't have any ear protection, dumb me. So, lesson learned. Well, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. So let's go up to Ron again. KD7QKU.
This is KD7QKU. Well, tar is pretty easy to get off. Actually, mayonnaise or even butter will dissolve tar in most cases. So, I don't know. But they do make tar cleaner for cars, and it is a liquid, and it is, you know, a solvent that won't hurt the finish. I don't know what I had at home. I had some kind of a tar remover at home. Probably all that stuff went to the hazardous waste, I guess, when removed. I had a whole cabinet full of that stuff that I've accumulated over years. I mean, it's so nice when you have stuff like that and you have a little job to do. You just go, you know, get a little dab on it, rag, and have at it. So we were, I think, maybe, was it Jessica? Maybe not. I was talking about windshields, maybe. So I always, you know, you get this, it's in a green bottle, plastic bottle, you get it at the auto parts store, and it's called Optic. And it's a concentrate, and you add it to water. And so when I drove, truck and stuff, I always added that to my windshield cleaner to make it better. But in the old days, you know, when it would rain and stuff, you'd get the oil off the road on your windshield, and you'd have that oily stuff, and you couldn't get rid of it. And so you'd get a bag of Bull Durham tobacco, and you'd wet the bag, and then you'd rub that on the window shield, and it would cut that oil film, believe it or not. So there used to always be a bag of Bull Durham hanging in trucks. Well, that's what it was for. Get it wet and rub it on the windshield, and it would take that oily film off. It was worse at night, you know, when you face oncoming lights, you had that terrible film on your windshield. So let's see. Oh, another thing that happened. So when I got out there today, they were making lunch, and I got right there in time to have lunch. And so I had lunch at the field day and sat down at a table. Then Wade came and got his sandwich and sat down beside me, and then there was other people there. And darn if this old guy on my left, who I didn't know, he was definitely a Trump hater, which was fine. And he really wanted to talk politics, and the guy sitting across from me, I've seen him before. I can't say his name. Big man with a ponytail, but very nice guy. And this guy was trying to convince us that if Trump gets elected, he's gonna take over the country as a dictator, which I thought was kind of funny. I tried to point out to him that in most countries, when they have a coup and they get rid of the leader, it's usually a military coup. So I said, unless Trump can get the military to declare martial law and get rid of the Senate and the Congress and the Supreme Court, I don't think he's going to take over as a dictator. Anything, I guess, is possible. I just thought, the guy across the table from me kept smiling. This guy just wouldn't quit. He was my age or older, and man, he had a captive audience, and he just wanted to talk about politics. Usually we don't do that as a club, but we might barely, but hardly at all. But boy, he was really wound up. I don't know. Maybe he read a sign or something on the way to the place. I don't know. But another guy I talked to, which was kind of interesting, there is Stillicum Lake, which is really close to where we were, and I'd like to go fishing there. And they talk about putting in a new boat ramp. And so I asked this guy where he lived, and he pointed right over Stillicum Lake. I have a feeling he had a waterfront home. And I mentioned the boat ramp, and he knew all about it. And they'd used eminent domain, and they were going to take this guy's man's home away from him, so they could have more room to have a parking lot and a toilet and everything for the new boat ramp. And so he knew all about that, and he was telling me all about that. It was kind of interesting. He says it's still hung up in court, but I don't really think it is. It started in 2022, and then they finally got it settled in 2023, and the last I read, they were going to start construction in 2024, and that's now the spring of 24, but he said it was tied up in court. But I actually called the director of the park. Her name is Mary something. And I did get a return call from her, and she didn't have a date when they were going to start. So he might be right. They might still be having some litigation on it. So anyway, so he was afraid there's a bridge that goes across Stillicum Lake to the other side, and it's wooden, and they just closed it because it's rotten. And he said he was afraid they were going to take the money out of the budget to fix the bridge, and I'm pretty sure they would. The bridge is more important than the new boat ramp. But so who knows? I said I wish they would get it done in my lifetime because I'd like to go fishing out there. The way it is now, this is almost impossible. There's no place to park. And it's if you wanted to put in a canoe or a kayak, it'd be fine. But there still wouldn't be any place to park. So it would be nice. They were going to put in a parking lot, a bathroom, picnic tables, and a nice boat ramp. So I'd like to see that done. So anyway, that's enough out of me. Back to net KD7QKU.
QKU, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
Up and ever here, K7UHK. I just know that on my microphone, alright, I'm going to try to hold it so I can show you. You can't probably see it, but right here on my microphone, the rubber coating is starting to like peel away, and I can see some of the wires inside and some of the packing of that. And I'm thinking maybe before it goes out completely, I'm one of the will replace this microphone if I can. This is on an FTM 400 Yaesu mobile unit, and has looks like a Cat 4 type connector, kind of like your old-fashioned telephone connector. So I'm gonna probably look for a new microphone. Call up HRO down there in Portland, see if I can get one ordered up. If not that, I might have to use my hot glue gun to kind of shield it a little bit, maybe put some around it to protect it. Because I treat this thing like kid gloves sitting here. This is the only time I really use it these days is when talking to you guys once a week. So I'm just amazed it's starting to fall apart right now. Of course, I've had it for 10 years, something like that. It's a long time. So weather and climate change or whatever is making this plastic, this rubber, start to deteriorate, and it really bugs the heck out of me. I don't like things breaking in front of me. So that's it. It's good to see you once again, Richard, and everybody here. It's good to hear all your voices, and I'm glad I'm back on to Zoom meetings. This is KF7UHK.
7UHK, and it looks like Richard's ready to join K7ITX. The mic's yours.
Thank you, Jessica, and everyone else. I gotta. There's a way there. You gotta remember every little thing when you go third part. It's still kind of irritated because Echolink was connecting perfectly earlier today. Maybe it just gets more busy at night, and maybe that, I don't know. Anyway, it's probably the internet connection, which this is a weeknight. And I guess, quite honestly, there's a time or two I've lost total track of time. Like the day of my surgery, I was asleep the whole day, and then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, because the surgery was like at 8 in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, I thought it was 4 o'clock the same day I went into surgery. And I thought that for 2 days. And when I found out, oh man. And plus, there was a hallucination. That's a whole nother batch of stories. So anyway, I got all kinds of stories. So with that, 73 everybody, K7ITX, back to net control.
WW7 and third party.
K7ITX, thanks for that. And let's go for a final with James, WW7N.
Thank you very much. I guess I get the last word tonight. Thanks everybody for joining us. Richard, I'm glad to see you sitting up and doing so well. That's the best news ever. And somehow I knew it would be this way. So anyway, anybody out there, I guess you can still do a little bit of field day tomorrow morning, not too late. You can go out and find a site and do something. I might try that myself, see if I can find somebody to drop in. People are usually getting tired by then, and sometimes you can just get on either as a scribe or as an operator and go at it. Well, anyway, that's it for me. This is James, Whiskey Uniform 7 November with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. I'm going to turn it back to our net control, Dave, KD7ZYM, and close this net down.
7N, thanks for that. And it is time to put a cap on the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. And we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions during this net. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7ZYM, signing off the net at 9:01. Good evening, all. Thank you.